Welcome to the Cleverly Changing podcast, where parents and kids learn more about history, culture, and life from a homeschool perspective. Today is our first episode, and we are talking about New Year's resolutions. When did they start, and are we making New Year's resolutions? Or did we make New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year? So, the very first people that we know of who made New Year's resolutions were the Babylonians. In ancient Babylon, there was a 12-day religious festival known as Akitu, where the Babylonians would crown a new king, and then they would make promises to their gods to pay back their debts and to return things that were once borrowed, which sounds like things we would do in our New Year's resolutions today. But their resolutions were made at the beginning of their harvest season and their new year, but their new year was in March and not January like ours today. So it was a little bit different, but it is definitely very cool to know that the Babylonians were doing the same things that we do today. So let us get into the conversation and talk a little bit about New Year's resolutions.
This is Cleverly Cultured Kids!
In this segment, we talk to kids about different topics.
So yesterday for social studies, we did a reading comprehension sheet on Booker T. Washington from the Kamali Academy's 50 Important People You Must Know. And on the write it portion, there was the question, what are some of your goals? Write 10 of them down. And so Amira wrote a couple of her own goals. I think she wrote 5, and we're going to let her share those.
So my first one is learning Mandarin. My second one was to get a good job so I can have money that I can use and learn how to bake better, get better with Legos, and learn Creole, which is a language in Haiti.
So why do you want to learn Mandarin?
Because who knows, I might end up traveling to China or Asia where they speak Mandarin. So I should know that.
So you want to be a traveler?
I don't know.
And why do you want to learn Haitian Creole?
Because me and my mom and some other family want to go to Haiti. And we should be able to learn. Someone should be able to learn what Creole is and know the language so that we can translate.
Very good point. Baking. So you want to get better at baking, you say. So that means you're baking currently. What kind of things do you bake?
I have made caramel. We have made cookie bars. And we made a rupee cake, which was actually really good. And I also made a mug cake a couple days ago.
Very cool. So we will, why do you think it's important for people to make resolutions?
I think that's kind of important so that you can have a goal. And if you don't complete that goal, then you can save it for next year or just have that as a goal in life.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's now time for the word of the episode.
Ubuntu. I am because you are. It is an Nguni word. The Nguni are a Southern African people that include the Zulu, Xhosa, and Ndebele. Ubuntu reminds us of the importance of family, friendship, community, and sharing. Archbishop Desmond Tutu said this of Ubuntu: "One of the sayings in our country is Ubuntu, the essence of being human. Ubuntu speaks particularly about the fact that you can't exist as a human being in isolation. It speaks about our interconnectedness. You can't be human all by yourself. And when you have this quality, Ubuntu, you are known for your generosity. We think of ourselves far too frequently as just individuals separated from one another, whereas you are connected and what you do affects the whole world. When you do well, it spreads out. It is for the whole of humanity."
All right, so we're talking today about resolutions.
Right.
Resolutions.
The New Year action.
I still make resolutions, and I make resolutions because I feel like, I don't have to, and there were a couple years I didn't, but for me, it's like I want to have goals and I want to achieve them. And if I make sure that I've written them down, they become more tangible to me.
Okay, so you write down the resolutions because...
Yeah, I write them down because then they become real to me. It's like I really have to get this done, and I can physically see it being checked off. Mm-hmm. So because I can see it, it's like, it motivates me. Like if I get one thing done and then I see that check, it's like, let me do the next thing. So it's like self-motivation. So that's why I believe in setting resolutions is important. It's not taboo at all, because if you want to make changes in your life, at some point you have to recognize these are the changes that I want to make. So whether you call it a resolution, or you call it your goals, or you call it just things you want to do, you can call it whatever you want, but they're about the same.
Yeah, I feel you on setting your intentions and goals for the future, but I don't do it as a resolution like only on New Year.
Right.
I do it all the time. So I'll say maybe 2 months ago, I was like, I have got to start drinking more water. I used to drink 32 ounces of water within the first hour that I had been awake. And then that cup was measured, it broke. I was so sad. And now I'm not drinking that much in the first hour. I guess I could, but it just made it a lot easier to be in that one huge hospital cup, and I got it done. So recently I've been trying to drink more water. And so every day I'm drinking from this little piddly 18-ounce glass. I need some more. But I am making a conscious effort to do that. And, it has nothing to do with, New Year, new leaf, or whatever folk be saying. It's just because I want to do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
I know I also have decided I'm going to start exercising more. I was doing it more regularly, say, last August, September.
Because the weather was nice.
Well, I was inside making pancakes, girl, lifting the ball.
But I feel like when it's sunny outside, it's like, it's so much easier to exercise.
It does make you feel good about going into motion. I agree. The sun is very inspiring to be active.
But I think that's one thing that I think hurts people in the new year, like around January, because it's cold. It's like,
definitely.
Depending on where you live, because it's not cold everywhere. But in the East Coast where we are, it's definitely cold. And so I think that makes it harder to stick with that resolution, because especially if you feel like you need to leave the house.
Yeah, on a day like today where the wind is straight up disrespectful and blowing you hither and yon, No, you don't want to leave the house to do anything. You don't want to go to the trash can, to the mailbox even. Can I just stay inside and watch the trees get half blown over?
Right.
Yeah. And there's snow on the ground too.
Even getting under, like coming from under my covers in the cold, I'm like, oh no. Like I can feel that briskness of, because like when it's in the winter, I don't like being cold. But when you like put so many comforters on your bed, once you don't want to blast the heat while you're under the cover, because then you'll be like way too hot. So you keep the temperature kind of moderate so that so when you sleep, you'll sleep comfortably. So what happens is when you actually wake up and you come from under those covers, you're cold. And I like to exercise in the morning because that's when I feel refreshed. And so I'm like, oh, it's the top of the morning, let me get these things done. I like to knock out things on my to-do list right when I wake up, because if I wait for later in the day, it may not get done. I get sidetracked. So I get up early before anybody else and I try to stay focused, and that's when I get it done. So you got to find what works for you. Some people are night owls and they can do it later in the day. That's not me. Around 8 o'clock, my eyes are like, you're done.
Man, at 8 o'clock, I'm just getting started good. Girl, I'm in here washing all the dishes. I'm picking up toys. Because I don't like the morning time. I will prep whatever needs to be prepped for me to do tomorrow morning. I'm doing laundry. I'm doing all kinds of stuff at night when it's dark. And I don't know. When I wake up, I don't want to do anything but just sit still for an hour or two. I do get up before the children most of the time, but I don't want to. I don't like to. I go to bed late. I go to bed after they go to sleep. Sometimes the boys do not want to go to sleep until 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And then I can go to bed, but, mommyhood.
Right.
So,
things have to be done. And I totally get that. I don't get to go to sleep that early, but I do, my body just winds down and I'm not as productive. So, but we were saying that, like, at the new year, to me, there's something beautiful about starting at the new year. And even though I don't wait until the new year to come up with new goals, I will say I'm going to start this new goal on a Monday, or I'm going to start, like, I like to start at like the top of an hour, just because it gives me a different type of freshness. Like, it's like a clean slate in my mind. It's like this theoretical clean slate that I'm starting. And so that's why it works for me. But I wouldn't say it works for everybody, but it's like it gives me some special momentum to get it done.
Okay, well, let me ask this question. When you set your goals or intentions, do you tell anyone or do you just write it down for yourself? So is there any accountability, I should ask? Because I know for myself, I rarely tell anybody. And I guess it's partly because I don't want to be held accountable, so that someone could say, did you do this? And I'm looking like, no. And then I feel this sense of shame because, I said I was going to drink this amount of water before, or I said I was going to exercise, or, start this new ritual or whatever, and I didn't. So do you have that accountability?
So in the past, I did not. Mm-hmm. And what you just described by not getting it done, like, I don't want to tell anybody because I don't want to be held accountable. That has been the case. And a couple years ago, I started to tell my kids, like, in our homeschool, we started to set new goals. And my husband, he's a big goal setter. Yeah. So I started to share them with him, and he would always hold me accountable. Like, did you do such and such? Did you
get off my back, man?
Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got a little annoyed because I didn't want to be held accountable. But now my goals are so important to me that It's like I gotta tell somebody because I want them to hold me accountable, because I want to say, yes, I did that this year. Yes, and like, you have this planner movement that's going on where people are like writing in their planner and they're sharing it. You have the vision board movement, and that's all about sharing your goals with other people and getting other people in the mix so that you are more accountable and you're getting stuff done. So for me, now in 2019, I'm definitely setting goals where I'm sharing them with other people, mainly because I want to be held accountable, because I don't want another year to go by and I say, oh yeah, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to publish this. I'm going to do that. No, I don't want it to be an afterthought. I want to be true to myself, and I want to show my kids, look, this is what I said I was going to do, and this is what I did. And so it's so much more important to me now. And also, just as a mom, I don't want to put myself on the back burner like I did in the past, because I think that's a big part of it. Like, we spend so much time cultivating other people and not cultivating ourselves. And I'm just in this life space of self-care where it's like, your dreams matter too. Yeah. And I'm not going to be nurturing everybody else's life and not nurturing my own. So I'm in a different place. Even just age-wise, I've grown older, and I feel like I'm a little bit wiser, and I'm like, no, I need to be held accountable. I need to write it down and make it happen. I need to do these things because I can. And I need to show my kids that if one day you become a mother, you don't need to put yourself aside. You need to be able to still achieve your goals. Now, am I getting everything done all at once? No. Now, I do have to, for me, I have to set short-term goals. So I'll do, like, I have weekly goals, I have daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, yearly goals, because, I definitely have that big picture, but that big picture has to be broken down because I got to do stuff by stages.
I should try that because I don't have that many. I think I just have short term and long term. And then, the short term goals kind of take priority, and the long term goals are things that I'm still working towards. I need to grow up like you and have the accountability factor. I have shared some of them so that I can be held accountable. But there's other things which makes me question now, thinking about it. Is this really a goal that I really want to tackle? Is this really something that I should be addressing?
I think you hit the nail on the head, kind of, because it's like we have things that I would call dreams, and wishes. Yeah. And they're not actually resolutions. They're not actual goals. They're just wishes. Like, we wish that will happen. And so we have to kind of compartmentalize those so that they don't cloud our space. Because I think when our mind becomes overcome with all of our wishes, then the things that we are actually committed to doing get lost in the mix.
Yeah, reality versus not.
Right. So
you got to stay in the real world and deal with what's really happening, what's really good here. And then, once you get some of those things underway and taken care of, then you'll probably have more space to take care of the passion projects, the wishes, the things that, this would be really nice if I could redecorate my house. But guess what? It's probably really nothing wrong with your house. You just kind of feel like you want to change and you want to switch up the curtain or the rug or whatever, but it's not imperative that it happens in order for you to be able to move forward. So we're on the same page here. I like it.
So we were talking about a lot of things kind of abstractly. So I want to focus on some resolutions that we have. But before we do that, do you think there is a difference between a dream, a goal, and a resolution?
I think goals and resolutions are pretty much the same thing, only in the sense that when we hear resolutions, we automatically kind of ascribe it, well, in American culture, I'll say, we automatically subscribe it to December 31st / January 1st on any given year. But I think that essentially they are the same, because when you resolve to do something, you're kind of set and this is going to happen. In terms of dreams, I would put those in a different category, because dreams are things that you long to do, that you, like we were just saying, what you wish. Oh, I really would like to have another child. No, I don't. But I'm just saying, I really would like to have another child. That's a dream, but that doesn't mean that that's something that you're actively going to pursue.
Right.
It's just something that is perhaps a long-term goal. We'll put that in that category instead of something that has to happen. Like, I would love to be able to live on a farm and do what I want, grow what I want when I want. Me and John Deere, let's get it done, right? But is that something that I'm really ready at this moment to move forward with?
No. And I think it's important to know the difference. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what confuses some people when it comes to resolutions. And I think for what we're discussing and what I want to work with my children in homeschool is to make clear goals and resolutions, as opposed to these are just your dreams. And it's nothing wrong with dreams. I think they're awesome. I think they're good, but I think that they have a place. And I think when it comes to keeping your resolutions, because that's what we want to do. We don't just want to set them. We want to keep them. And I think when you have resolved in your mind that you want to keep your resolutions, by stating that they're actual goals and having a plan will help you be better equipped to achieve them versus not.
Yeah, I think for myself, I'm one of the people that needs a plan. I think that my oldest daughter needs a plan too. Not so much for my younger daughter. I think she can just say, oh, I want to do this, and get to work on it. She's much like her father in that regard. But I think you're onto something with plan. Say, I want to write a book. So now I need to plan out, what do I want this book to be about? How long of a time period do I want to give myself to work on this? What do I need to speak to anybody? To have X, Y, and Z in place, and then be able to check those items off, so that in doing so, you're actually completing the larger task at hand.
Right. And so you just brought something up that I'm actually currently working on. So one of my resolutions this year was to I have 2 books. One I wrote in 2014.
Oh yes.
I wrote it a long time ago, but it was a dream where I wrote the book, but I didn't do all the other. I didn't write down the task that I needed to do to follow the book to get everything done. And so I did that, and I have an ebook that I want to write about locks. You can't see us, but we both have locks. Yay. And I'm doing a beginner's guide to lock maintenance. And so to begin, I had to say, what is it that I needed to do? I needed to start with an outline. And so I did my outline first. I needed to do some crowdsourcing, so I'm not just inputting what I think people need to know, but I need to ask people, what do you wish you needed to know? So I did some crowdsourcing. And I have other steps, like the next thing after the outline, I need to, flesh out each of the points in the book, each of the things that I wrote. Flesh out that outline, write the paragraphs. And then, but the key to that is I've given myself deadlines. So for me, I don't have a lot of expendable time, so I'm not going to just wake up the next morning and get everything done. Mm-hmm. So what I've done it within a week. And I've set my time where I have my cell phone beside me. And so I actually set 20-minute blocks. and I say, hey Siri, set the timer for 20 minutes. And I do that so within that 20 minutes, I'm only focused on that because I have so many other things that I have to do. And so that has been kind of the driving force to actually help me stay accountable. So I'm not, like, oh, I'm going to do this in an hour. No, I can't give some big block of time where I become overwhelmed by all the other things I have to do. Let me just break it down. Like, if you only have 10 minutes, in 10 minutes, this is what I'm going to get done every day. For me, I like to get up early, like I mentioned earlier, and I set aside the 20 minutes where I set that timer and this is what I'm getting done in 20 minutes. Now, if you get distracted by your computer, like I do, and social media, you have to create a little, get a program on your computer that blocks that stuff out because you need to stop distractions. Because distractions will kill your dreams. They will kill your resolutions. So you have to stay focused. And so for me, I had to put a program. We'll have to put it in the show notes because I can't recall the name of it, but I had to put a program to stop me from going on social media. I also, another thing that I do, like when I feel super distracted, I just use pen and paper. And I don't use digital devices.
I stay looking for a pen and paper. We were talking earlier, and you said something. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to check this out. My phone is sitting right at my kneecap, and I'm looking around like, where's the pen and where's the paper? I know most people are thinking, pick up your phone. Go in your notes and type something. I don't want to. I have lots of little pieces of paper all over, and I know exactly where those papers are, too. With various information, I still write down grocery lists on paper. It's something about the pen in the hand, touching the paper, and moving that just resonates with me. I like that feeling. I need that feeling. Somehow that makes things more real for me. So when I put, when I put down, my goals, and I've been writing them down more recently, just to be, I don't know, I guess it goes from the page to the pen to my hand, my arm,
right? It becomes
head,
tangible,
and it's in me now. I feel like I've written it down in my cells, and I can be more proactive about accomplishing those things.
Right.
And for me, it's really difficult. When you said 20 minutes, I was like, ooh, girl, I wish I could get 20 minutes alone. I don't even take a 20-minute shower.
So it could be 5 minutes. Like
these children
whatever time
ragged.
Whatever time that you can allot, that's undistracted time. And I know that as a parent, it is hard. It is hard. My kids are now 10, so I have much more freedom than you do. Because they are able to they're a little bit more self-sufficient, a lot more, not even a little bit. My kids are self-sufficient. I can say, this is your assignment, do this. So I have much more freedoms to do the things that I find important and, complete some of my resolutions than I did in the past. I struggle with it. So all you parents who are listening, who are like, man, my kids are so little and they're so in the mix and, I can't concentrate. We've been there.
I'm still there. My youngest isn't even 2 years old.
So we get it.
I am still there. But I mean, it's possible. I don't think that I'm saying it's impossible. It's definitely not. It just takes a lot more craftiness to be able to carve out these moments in time where you can, do things. I know for myself, quite often, I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I really need to write this, or I need to start dinner, or I need to go fold this laundry. But then I also have to do X, Y, and Z. And so you're constantly playing this priority moving game where, you say, should I do this laundry or should I start this dinner? Well, I guess I'll do the dinner first. And then if I have some time left, I'll start this load of laundry or whatever. And so you're constantly playing this shifting of tasks. And so there's definitely time in the day. there's time in the day.
There's time in the day, yeah. And I think it's important. So utilize whatever device you have to set like a certain time block. Just do it. Just do it and get started. I think if you wait for a perfect time, perfect will never come.
Yeah, perfect never
So
comes.
I would say also one tip that I have to share is get a little notebook. You know how back in the day when we were like little kids, they had like these spiral little notebooks?
Yeah,
Well,
so
stores still sell little mini things. And I would say keep it with you to write down the things that are important to you. Because I think one of the best ways to stay on task and to stay productive is to be aware of what's important. And the only way to do that is to write it down. If you are, digital friendly, definitely you can put it in the reminder section in your phone at alerts. My thing is you have to add a start and finish time to things. Because if you leave things open-ended and abstract, they're easy to miss and not get done. So you have to say, I'm going to do this at such and such a time on such and such a day, and even if you can't say such and such a time, you can definitely say such and such a day. And then when you find your mind wandering, go ahead and start that timer and stop and say, oh, I'm going to do this right now. Like give the kids something to do that occupies them. 10 minutes of TV ain't going to hurt them. Like really.
Exactly.
And I'm not even one to be like, oh yeah, do that. But 10 minutes, your kids will be fine. 10 minutes of digital time, your kids will be fine.
10 minutes of making a mess. And I struggle with this because I do not like cleaning up unnecessary messes that could have been avoided. But guess what? Sometimes it's worth letting them sit at the table with the paintbrushes and the water.
Yes.
And just having your towel ready to soak up the mess with it.
Put down like, the dollar store.
Or the tablecloths.
Tablecloths. Put those down and let your kids, I would say, just give them something like different recyclable materials to be creative. Kids love to be creative. So give them that space and that opportunity to do so within an area where they're not going to tear up everything. Like I'm not telling you to give them the flour, so it can be all over your house. Give them something that's okay for them to play with in a controlled environment where you don't have to keep your eyes glued to them. And they'll be fine. And I think if you can do that for 10 minutes a day, you will have free time to get done things that are on your list that are important to you. And so I think we have it. Like that's
well, let me say this though. I have heard people say or seen it written on social media, Beyonce, Cardi B, whoever does X, Y, and Z. She's got this many things going on. And I'm thinking to myself, there's time today. Yes, there's time today, but we have to be realistic. Ain't none of us know Beyonce or anybody else. And guess what? She ain't doing that stuff by herself.
Right.
She has people. She has more heads in her game than we do. So although she does have the same 24 hours as we do, she has more
She has a team of
power.
people. She has a team of people helping her execute her goals. Now, if you can hire a nanny to get your stuff done, hire a nanny. But for those of us who cannot hire a nanny, they have, another parent. Like, use whoever you have in your circle who has offered to help.
Let them help you.
Let them help you. Like, be willing. Like, if somebody's like, oh, I'll watch the kids. Like, nobody said they had to watch the kids for hours or days. Yeah. Shoot, let them watch the kids for, 30 minutes. Whatever. But utilize what you have at your disposal to get the things that are important to you done.
Yes. Be creative.
Thanks for checking out our podcast with Elle and Miriam, two homeschooling moms who are redefining culture for our kids here in America. You can follow us at Cleverly Changing on IG and Facebook, and also on my blog at cleverlychanging.com. You can follow Miriam at Frank and Herbs on Instagram. That's FRANK and A&D Herbs HERBS on Instagram.